Have you ever wondered why some countries still criminalize LGBTQ relationships in the 21st century? It's a perplexing question, isn't it? Despite the global strides we've made in recognizing and respecting human rights, there are still areas where progress is painfully slow. LGBTQ rights, for instance, remain a contentious issue in many parts of the world. Some countries still have laws in place that were born out of colonial-era legislation, which criminalize homosexuality. It's a grim reminder of the long-standing prejudices that we, as a global society, are still grappling with. One country that has recently been in the spotlight for its stance on LGBTQ rights is Ghana. In February 2024, Ghana's parliament unanimously passed a controversial anti-homosexuality bill. This marked a significant turning point in the country's legal landscape, following a series of events that had been unfolding since 2021. The bill, formerly known as the Human Sexual Rights and Family Values Act, was first introduced in the parliament 3 years prior. Its journey to approval was a marathon, not a sprint. Spearheading the charge was Sam George, one of the main sponsors of the bill. His words echoed through the halls of the parliament upon its passing, signaling a victory in his eyes. After 3 long years, we have finally passed the Human Sexual Rights and Family Values Act. Yet the bill's approval did not come without controversy. This wasn't just a law against LGBTQ relationships. It was a sweeping legislation that sought to criminalize not only those who identify as LGBTQ, but also those who dare to support LGBTQ rights. In a world where acceptance and inclusivity are increasingly becoming the norm, this bill stands as an affront, a stark reminder of the long road ahead for LGBTQ rights in many parts of the world. It's a chilling testament to the power of legislation to shape societies and determine what is deemed acceptable and what is not. Yet the journey of this bill isn't over. Although it has passed through Parliament, there's one final hurdle it must clear before it becomes law: the presidential signature. The bill is yet to be signed off by the country's president to become law. The world watches and waits, as the future of LGBTQ rights in Ghana hangs in the balance. The passing of the bill has ignited international condemnation. A chorus of concerns and criticisms have echoed across the globe, with international bodies and key figures voicing their apprehensions. The United Nations, a bastion of global peace and human rights, has been at the forefront of this outcry. Volker Turk, the UN's human rights chief, described the bill's passage as profoundly disturbing, urging the Ghanaian government not to endorse it into law. According to Turk, the bill threatens to widen the scope of criminal sanctions against the LGBTQ community, merely for expressing their identities, and against those perceived as allies of this community. Turning our attention to the health sector, Winnie Byanyima, the executive director of UNAIDS, issued a stark warning. If the bill becomes law, it could affect everyone, she cautioned, and potentially hamper Ghana's fight against HIV and AIDS. Inclusion, she emphasized, has been key to Ghana's progress in combating HIV. The proposed law could jeopardize this progress by instilling fear, stigma, and discrimination, thereby obstructing access to life-saving services. Across the Atlantic, the United States State Department expressed its deep concern. Washington is deeply troubled by the passing of the law, which it believes could threaten all Ghanaians' constitutionally protected freedoms of speech, press, and assembly. The sentiment here is clear. Limiting the rights of one group in society undermines the rights of all. The fate of this bill and its potential impact on Ghana's LGBTQ community and allies remains uncertain. The global community watches and waits as the echoes of concern continue to reverberate. The situation in Ghana reflects a broader global issue. We've delved into the concerning passage of the anti-homosexuality bill, a piece of legislation that not only criminalizes LGBTQ relationships, but threatens those who stand in support of LGBTQ rights. We've seen the international response, with voices from the United Nations to UNAIDS expressing deep concern and urging Ghana not to sign this bill into law. The fear, stigma, and discrimination that such a law would perpetuate threatens not only the rights and well-being of the LGBTQ community, but the health and development of the nation. As we move forward, the question remains: how can we foster a world where everyone's rights to love and be loved are respected?